Welcome back to the next episode of Unfiltered Life with Liz. And this episode, I have one of my favorite people.
I'm in the season 1. That is I'm like not over it. I'm so excited.
No, and I'm excited to have you
Yeah,
here
I'm
because
excited.
today's conversation, I think, is going to be something that many people actually need to hear. But before we get into it too deep,
Mhm.
tell everybody who you are and what it is that
Okay.
you do.
Yeah. So I was told if I wanted to make a point and look in the camera. Um, have you ever met a woman and thought, I want to be friends with her? That happened to me. So, which I think is really cool at my age to be
Oh,
like,
100%.
oh, I totally want to be her friend. So that's why I'm also like super stoked to be here. Um, so my name is Naomi Stanton. I go by Nomi. There were 3 of us in high school. So,
That all had Naomi as a
Naomi.
name?
So one was Naomi, one was Naomi, and I didn't know my name was Naomi until I went to school. I'd always been like Nomi or Nome. So then that's when I became permanently
Naomi.
Nomi. And that's the big difference between people that like actually know me. So if someone's like, Naomi, they don't know me. Or hey Nick, they don't know me. So yeah, so Nomi Stanton. Um, proud military spouse for 30 years.
Which
Um,
in and of itself is an achievement.
um, I fell in love with my husband. We were 16. And, he played soccer, and he had a mullet. This was the '80s, y'all. And, I just thought he was, like, the coolest guy ever. He was my best friend until he wasn't my best friend anymore, and he was my boyfriend. So I've been in love with him for a really long time. So I didn't know what it meant, like, anything about the military.
Yeah.
I'm kinda glad because it's just been a very different experience, and I like blowing stereotypes about what a senior spouse is supposed to be versus me, because I like what you see is what you get, and if you like it, that's great, and if not, at least you know I'm totally myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be anything I'm not. Um, I have 3 incredible kids that are adults now. Our baby just graduated college, so that was huge. And I have loved working in the nonprofit world for, like, years and years. Because when the kids were little, um, I did all the volunteer stuff, like, I was a volunteer from
Well,
the jump.
being being a military spouse and being active in the community, and then as he moved up in rank, you were a volunteer without even being a volunteer.
Totally,
Like,
totally.
and so I know that was part of your experience and kinda
Yeah.
how you got into that. But what was, like, the first, like, volunteer gig you actually took?
A family support group in Italy, and I remember thinking, "I don't know what I'm I don't know what I'm doing," and we were at a field day, and I was like, "What is happening?" Because it's like forced fun, basically.
Yup. Yup.
Um, but that was crazy to me because that the military is not like anything I've ever
No,
experienced.
it was a completely different experience being a military spouse than, and I didn't know what I didn't know either going in. And I did it like I do everything else. I just kinda wing it with a little bit of research and just
Uh,
go.
oh, totally. And because we were in Europe, I didn't know anybody. So I can remember I had dropped my husband off, and he was going into the field for 3 months, 3, 4 months. And I went back to our apartment and I just pulled the covers over my head and I just started sobbing. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, is love, like, do I love, do I love him this much? And then I'm like, you know what? I'm committed. Like that. My parents did not approve me moving to Europe. They had no idea. They thought, I think a quote is, you're just going to travel around Europe and you're going to be his maid. And you've put like you put all of this education and your job and you're quitting that to put your life in someone else's hands. And I think for me, I was like, that's not me. You
Yeah.
know, I grew up paddle your own canoe. I'm gonna make I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do me.
Yeah.
So I taught English to Italian students, which was ridiculous because I didn't know what I was doing. Um, and then I just did little things like substitute taught at the school, but still ran support groups, and I even taught parenting classes. God, I don't know what the hell was I thinking? Like I had like I didn't get pregnant for another like 3 years, and who am I to talk about like let's talk about bedtime? Like, I wish I could apologize to all of those people, be like, "I'm so sorry, I bet my advice sucked, I'm so sorry." But I just knew I wanted to be me, and it's
Still, you're an
yeah,
individual person that,
yeah.
yes, you are his wife, but still an individual person.
I am my own
Yeah.
person. I think my biggest beef also, are people who were only nice to me when he was next to me, and I don't know why. Something about that really bothers me, like, especially at this stage of the game, because you don't have to do that. You know what I
You
mean?
don't.
Like,
You don't. In today's culture, it doesn't have to be that way.
it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-mm.
Like, a woman, a man, whoever you're shouldn't matter. Like, you stand on your own 2 feet. You bring stuff to the table that is banging and awesome. And but that's still kind of, that's
It's
always going to follow me wherever, that I'm Paul's wife. And
and yeah,
yeah,
and even now being single and being a business owner and have proven myself in role after role after role, I still deal with it.
but you're a beautiful woman. And so I think people look at a beautiful woman and they're like, "Yeah, but
Yeah.
what kind of and your personality is like you're beautiful, but you're so much more than that." But yeah, it's not fair.
Mm-mm, it's not, and so I can't imagine being the force that you are as an individual and then being put in that situation where you've already accomplished so much as a military spouse too, that and to still be running into that, the level of frustration that you would have there.
For me, it's hard. I
Yeah.
will I will say, but I also think the painful part is just like I thought we had a real, that someone was kind to me because of me. And so that's a tough lesson.
Mhm.
So I feel like every spouse should stand on their own 2 feet, but that's true of like every
Everything.
profession
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
it's not just military,
Yeah.
but
But I think it's more prevalent there because it's harder for military spouses because they're getting moved around so much to find, like, that anchor that's outside of the relationship.
the cool thing is you can reinvent yourself.
This
So
is
like
true.
if you
This
were
is true.
miserable at Fort Campbell, but now you're moving to, Fort Hood, if you don't want to be involved in something, and
You
you
don't
always were
yeah.
interested in something else, do it. Like
Yeah.
you can reinvent yourself. So there's
Yeah.
there's kind
There
of
is a
that
pro to
aspect
it,
too. There's a
yeah.
pro. A pro. Yeah.
So tell me about Gap.
Okay. Gap is the most well, you've heard me say. Like I
Yeah.
think it's the most beautiful place on the planet. And I really mean that when I say that because um Gap has this saying, it's like all are welcome. And I have and I've been a part of a lot of organizations, lots of groups, just all the things, spouse groups, and I've never felt as comfortable in my own skin and in a building as I do at Gap. Like that's where I'm most comfortable.
The vibe is extremely different.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of nonprofits that I work with and that I help that I can feel the stress, I can feel the frustration of the people who are either volunteering there because of where the world is at right now, the extra strains from government spending cuts, all of that, that the vibe is angrier than
There's a
I
lot of uncertainty for
yeah,
like my friends
yeah,
that are in bigger nonprofits like that have an imprint,
yep.
across the country kind of
And
thing.
but then I walked in the Gap and it is very different.
Uh-huh. I love it.
Very different,
Mhm.
between the volunteers, the people who were in there, and what was crazy is that you knew so many of the people, and your people don't even, like, regularly come for the most part. Like, you get they're more cycles because of the services that you provide.
And we have new people. I think that's also the crazy thing. that, and I don't know if it's like this for your job, but, like, I can't shut my brain off at night
Mhm.
because I am, like, constantly thinking about the beautiful baby I saw, and where she's sleeping tonight, and, the young guy that I know just became homeless, and I could see how scared he is and also that he doesn't fit in, and he's trying to, like, find his place. It just I have a hard time trying to talk to people who don't look at a person as someone's baby. Like they were someone's baby.
Mhm. And so Gap provides Gap services. So you're working with a whole bunch of different organizations and filling in the gaps of where it is to help people get back on their feet.
That's the whole goal. The whole goal is for you to not be dependent. And
And it'd be temporary.
like,
It'd be temporary just to prop you back up.
yeah,
Um, but I think people are looked down upon who need those services, and as somebody who very much has been in situations where I had to restart over completely, and I just thought there was nobody that was even out there to help. And then walk in there and the services that you're providing are truly services that you're like, "Okay, this actually happened to somebody, and this organization went, okay, how do we stand in the gap to fix this?" So, for example, if someone is homeless or has a fire or is out on their street living in a tent and their stuff got stolen,
yep.
they can't get a job without
Yeah,
their
vital
paperwork.
document. Yeah, vital documents. And I think that's the other thing too. Like you take so much for granted. And I was thinking about it. I ran into Costco just to get a couple of things. Had my Costco card and I, put it in and I was putting stuff in my cart and I literally stopped for a second and I was like, this is a normal
Mhm.
experience. But for my folks, they come to like our pantry that and they're looking at what we're able to provide. And some weeks, it's more plentiful than others, just depending on what we're able to get our hands on. Um, but that sticks with me. So it's
Mhm.
like the drive of I need to be able to provide. Like this is my family and I need to make sure that they're okay.
Mhm.
It's different than any other job I've ever had in my whole life. If that makes
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
And how many remind me, how many people do you have coming through there every week?
So it depends on the program.
Okay.
So vital documents, for example, last year total we did 820 birth certificates. So we will, if you were born anywhere in the country or one of the U.S. territories or a military brat born abroad, which is significant here
Yeah.
because there are so many folks that retire here. Um, and I had someone say to me, I don't understand how people don't have their birth certificate. And I kinda just I just kinda looked at him like,
Yeah.
because
And
if
it
you've moved around, if you grew up in foster care, if you, were adopted, if you grew up with your sister as your guardian because she was, 12 years
yeah.
older and she took care of you, but she didn't have your paperwork,
Mhm.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
I just we take that's what I'm saying, we take so much for granted.
Mhm.
Um And right now, the issue that we're kind of running into is some states require more things to prove that someone is who they say they are. And the frustration, if it's like, I know how I feel.
Yep.
So, someone who doesn't have patience has been like had door shut after door, after door after door. And people keep saying, I'm sorry, we can't
Yeah.
help you. My philosophy is like, let's get to the yes. Like, what do I need to do to help this person?
Yep.
Um,
'Cause there's nothing worse than trying to do right,
oh my
trying to
god,
do better, and constantly being put in situations you have no control over, and you just keep being told no.
it's so frustrating. And I think that's the other thing that people don't really understand the patience it takes, which is why my volunteers are. I mean, I worship the ground that they walk on because they keep coming back, and we're kind of a dysfunctional family. Like, not everybody comes in a great mood.
Mhm.
I'm talking clients.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah, totally,
sometimes you're
'cause
yeah.
the situation they're in.
Right.
Who's coming in all chipper and happy, like, I've been sleeping in a tent, and it's, 100 degrees outside, and I'm sweating my butt off, and
But people don't understand how scary that is.
yeah.
Like, they think that folks just, hop from pantry to pantry or hop to get free stuff. And it's a sign of strength for you to walk through the door.
Mhm.
And it's damn hard if you've never had to get help before. And we're seeing more people that have never had to get help before. That's the other thing that
Yeah,
I
and
think about.
that's what's and we've talked about it, that's what I'm scared of right now, is that we have so many working poor,
Yeah.
not just in the CSRA, but in the country, that are one major thing away from losing it all,
Yeah.
and I don't know how we as a country are going to be able to help them with the current resources that we have available.
But that's why we have to spend time with like, that's why I love having kids in our building. Like, when Sunday schools come, I want literal teenagers, preteens and teenagers to understand the challenges that people are facing, because I think we've also lost thought, like compassion and empathy, um and that, to me, that's the worst thing.
Mhm.
um so that's why I feel like we're missing telling kids, this is why you should care. Because those are the future leaders of this town. Those are the
Mhm.
future, literally, at the Boys and Girls Club, those are our
Yep.
future leaders. And if they don't understand why it's so important to the different issues, and it really
Mhm.
does depend on who's in a specific seat, to say, this is really important. This is
Mhm.
why you should care. Because I think that's also going to help.
Oh, yeah. It if you don't have the perspective or the understanding and you don't know what you don't know, then and that's the biggest thing that I've seen with doing nonprofit work. There are so many people who wanna stroke a check, but they don't know what they don't know and how to actually help the situation because, yes, money's great, but money put in the wrong area isn't actually solving the problem.
And there are people that say they do things that they don't do.
Mhm.
So, like, my advice to anyone who wants to give to any nonprofit, ask to take a tour.
Mhm.
Ask to see their data or their financials. Like, you can ask those questions, especially if it's a nonprofit. Like, I think I showed you all when you came. We're an open book.
Mhm.
You should be able to be like that and be proud of what you're
Yep.
doing. Because I also would want to know where my money goes.
Yeah. And I've just over time learned to ask those questions and learned to ask, okay, so you've got, the diapers that you do for kids, you've
Mhm.
got that program. Like, all right, how many people are needing it? What sizes, and how did this get started? Where do you think it's going? Why are you charging $1?
Right.
Right? Like, I want to know the why behind it because then I know how to help if there's a way I can help or somebody I can connect the service to when I run
Yes.
into them.
Yes, and every single, like, leader of a particular nonprofit should be willing to answer those
Mhm.
questions. And I think something that's really hard for me, there are different types of nonprofits. So there are some that are in an office space. Then there are some that there's an office, but then you're also in the trenches.
Mhm.
And if you, like, when you guys came, one of our clients was having an off day.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I had never met him before, and he was a-
He was a little
asking questions.
confrontational.
He was
Yeah,
confronting, but that's the kind of stuff that I signed up for that.
yeah, but
So you take some
yeah,
abuse, but
yeah,
I look at what we're doing, and I know that that so far outweighs any moodiness or anything. Um,
but I would take that as I can't say that I would have been extremely different had I been in his shoes with him showing up with no shoes, with
Hey,
hi
people, but when it was pouring
pouring
rain.
rain,
uh,
the weather was miserable,
yeah,
no
yeah.
shoes, like, I can't say like, who would be in a good mood?
I I would not be, and I don't know what kind of homeless person I would be either.
Mhm.
And I think also you see people, and you're like, my God, I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
because I would be terrified as a woman living on the street. I really would. I would be terrified.
I helped, with serving some lunches one day and got to meet a couple, and because the shelters here, there's very limited family sheltering. So, usually, if they're in a shelter, the man goes to the man shelter, the woman goes to the woman shelter. But the incidents of sexual assault are so high, and every time she has tried to go to the shelter, she's been assaulted. And so she refuses to go back. So she was living in a tent. And then
Which
they're
puts
dealing
you
with
even more vulnerable. Yeah. Uh,
it. Just for her though, it the other was so traumatic, she was picking that. And I can't imagine as a woman
mm,
having to make that call.
no.
And I so when I have compassion because I can imagine putting myself in that situation because I've been in crappy situations. So I know that level of desperation. Um, so seeing somebody who's coming in like that, to me, it makes complete sense. But to a lot of people, it seems very unsafe. But there's really two different types, or that it's viewed as mental illness. And
Which also kills me. I'm just gonna be totally
yeah,
honest, because if you took a poll, um, of everyone who's on medication for depression or anxiety, let's just say probably all my friends are on meds right now.
yeah,
So, that it's
a
interesting to me
significant
how through
portion of my
yeah.
friends are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think what's really hard too is, you know, I like learning more about you, and you even said, people see tall, blonde, your education and have no idea what you left behind.
Mhm.
And I think that's the same thing. So, like in my house growing up, there's a huge age difference between me and my next sibling.
Mhm.
And my brothers were selling drugs out of the house. And so the police would show up now and bring them home.
Yeah.
Or come and talk to my folks. If you knew our family, you would think, "Oh, they didn't have any issues." No, because no one talks about that
Yep.
stuff. Okay, well, I mean, I have lots of stories like that of growing up and the home that I grew up in and how it kind of shaped and molded why I wanted to do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What is your biggest challenge right now with trying to serve the community that you're trying to address or fix or overcome? Because with the population that you serve, it's going to be ever changing because where the gaps are is going to be dependent upon where the community is at the time.
So for me, it's not even so much what happens in my own building because, like, I can handle it.
Yeah.
I really can. Like, the challenge is there. My biggest challenge is trying to help others understand why they should care. And I have a really hard time with folks who, um, they say that they're religious, but they judge the people that they see on, down Washington Road or pushing a grocery cart. And so for me, the biggest challenge is that because I commented on a story recently. A different commissioner was talking about more homeless people in his district, which the homeless have been everywhere. It's just that now maybe people are noticing them more.
Yeah.
Um, and, I commented that, I'm so glad we're bringing this back on the table. Like, let's talk about solutions. And I went through, there's so many nonprofits do beautiful things. If we, just explain how hard it is for people to climb out of a hole 'cause it's so, so hard. And I just got slammed with negativity and, it drugs and it's addiction, it's this and it's mental illness and they're violent and the lack of that's the part that I have to like
Yeah.
count to a million because I can't work with that. I can work with someone who is open to hearing what we do and the why and part numbers and why vital documents are important, why a choice food pantry is such a big deal, why prescription assistance is so huge. So
Yep.
like the things that Gap doesn't do, that's our whole point. Like let us pay for your medication and let us give you your groceries so you can focus on your light bill or you can focus on your rent. And I think
Or getting out of
That's
the hotel that you're paying way too much money
totally.
to live in.
But we need more affordable housing and options too. So, but that's
Yeah.
the hardest part. It's not my clients. It's not the stuff in my building. It's not my banging volunteers because they're the best. It's others. It's the showing them, which is frustrating.
Is trying to teach people what they don't know.
Yeah.
And asking for them to try to put themselves in that person's shoes because it
You say like, "Oh, they should know better." But how do you know that
if
they
you
should
don't
know
know.
better? If you don't know better, then how
Mhm.
should you we can't do like things that are what's normal for us
Mhm.
is not normal for others. And so that's the other thing that I think
Yep.
I love so much about Gap is like we meet people where they're at. It has nothing to you can't read. Okay, we're going to help you fill out these forms. Zero judgment. Oh, your family can't eat this. Oh, you need transportation. Oh, we can I
Yep.
can work with that, but it's the other folks who say, I don't know why we need this assistance. Like, why are people,
Yeah.
using the system? And that is not what I'm seeing in my
Mm-mm.
building.
No, and it wasn't what I experienced when I came to visit.
No.
Like, for example, my grandmother, before she passed away, she was on so many meds that she could not afford the right foods to eat. So she was passing out, but she was too proud and too stubborn to say anything. Whereas if there was a gap or a way that until she was able to get back right, like that's the stuff that like people she owned her home. But she was living on a fixed income cuz she wasn't able to work.
But see, that kills me too because now people are so we're seeing people who are insured
Mhm.
and they still can't afford their copay. Or so one of the things we started doing is prescription eyeglasses, like free eye exams. And we go through America's Best, and it has been the most beautiful thing. And I've tried to explain to people because I can't see without my
Yeah.
glasses. Do you wear glasses?
I can do
Okay.
contacts. So I
Okay.
can't see
Okay,
far away. I
cheater.
can see up close.
Okay. All right. So I can't I can see you, but if you were like, "Hey, Nomi, do your, times table and for something," I'm like, I can't read that. So, being able to give people the gift of sight seems so basic. I had no idea how many people are walking around squinting, they can't see. So how do we expect them if you can't see,
How are they supposed
how are
to
you supposed to fill a job application?
Yes.
Like these cuz everything is also online. So that has also been the
That
most
never even crossed
eye-opening,
my mind.
beautiful thing. I had a grown man burst into tears. He came to show me his new glasses. Um, and
Yeah.
he's just a softie anyway. And he was like, I am looking at the work. He's like, it's crazy. I'll find myself just looking around.
Yeah.
He's
Never
like, it's like everything is so beautiful
never even
now.
would have thought because everything we do now is visual. Everything. Everything
Everything.
is communicated visually now.
Everything. So it's like you don't even think about that
No,
stuff.
because it's just such a part of your everyday that unless you're experiencing it, you've got yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff I'm constantly like, okay, so what's the next thing that we can do that's actually going to impact people? Because if you're able to see and you can fill out a job application and we've gotten you your vital documents, world is your oyster. Like that's awesome. Any nonprofit should want to be a part of just sort of I say, like, coloring all these beautiful colors in someone's wings,
Mhm.
and we want to see them fly and, like, cheer them on when they go. That's
Yes.
beautiful, but then on the flip side, if I don't see clients in a while, I start to panic. So on the one hand, I'm very independent,
I can see
but
that.
I also want to
I
make
can
sure
see
they're
that.
okay. So it's like, it's like the mom in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know you had a client that actually passed away here
Yeah.
recently. You okay with talking about that a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what happened?
Yeah. He died of heat stroke. Totally could have been avoided. That is, I mean, I literally was at an event that he was at 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. His name is Brandon. Had a smile that would literally light up a room. Like, if you ask other colleagues that knew him, quiet, obviously, so he was a veteran, had his demons, um, but just a very gentle, just gentle soul. Um, and he was found in a parking lot on 12th Street. And I read the article this morning, but I had heard from colleagues yesterday, like, "Hey, this happened." And at fir and I said, I was like, "No," because that would have been on the news if something like that had
Yeah.
happened. Maybe that's just like a rumor. I kept saying to one of my girlfriend, I'm like, "That there's no way." Like, I literally, he
And it just got hot too, right?
so hot. Um, and he died. Yeah, he died of heat stroke. And so so this morning, I'm like, all right, well, that could have been avoided. So, what can we do as a community so that does not we don't lose another person? Because it's June.
We haven't even gotten, like, true hot yet.
Yeah, and yeah. So that in my head, all I'm thinking about is like today. I'm like, okay, what can we do to create a solution?
To fill the gap.
To fill the gap, but also work. I guess here's the other thing too. I always say also ask who you collaborate with because no nonprofit can do it all.
No,
Like
no.
anyone who says they stand be leery of that.
Yeah.
You should at a minimum say you collaborate with at least 5 to 10
Yeah.
other nonprofits. And I'm super lucky because a lot of my colleagues have become family. Um, and texting, Brandon passed away. Um, and this it was the same response. Like, there's no way he passed away. Like, that isn't impossible because it's not something you can fathom.
Yeah.
Um, and he has a family that loves him to pieces. So yeah, that
It's
I
hard.
want to avoid that
Yeah.
because last year we lost about 12 people,
Mm.
and
I had no idea.
I we had a so with Project Refresh, the mobile shower
Mhm.
folks, just also human angels, we did a memorial um for the 12 that passed, and I still look for that, like, I still look for them. So that's the other really hard thing that people don't understand when you work in this field. There's a lot of beautiful things, but also a lot of heartbreaking things. Um, but the heartbreaking things are the things that motivate me and light a fire under me. After I've had a good 10 cries about it, um, I'm just thinking, okay, well, like, Nomi, put your big girl pants on, and what can we do
Let's figure it out.
yeah, let's figure it out. Let's get to how we can help
Yeah.
as many people as possible. And kindness is free. So
Yep.
I just want to encourage people to just be kind and stop saying it's drugs or it's mental illness, or there absolutely is a component.
Everybody has a
But
story,
everybody,
and it's probably not what you think it is.
I know it's not,
Mhm.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, we gotta wrap it up. Any one last little thing you wanna
That this is a super duper honor to be in season 1 of your podcast. I don't know, like, what I did to deserve this, but this is so cool. And just I admire you and I
It's
dig
who you are
you.
as a person. That's why you're here, and everything that you're doing for the community is because people need to hear this. People need to hear where people are at and how easy it is to help. How
And
easy it
thank
is
you
to
for
love on
that.
them. How
Yes, thank
easy it is to help pull someone back up when they're given the right resources and the opportunity.
and just be kind because it's
Mhm.
so hard, and also thank God you don't understand.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. Well,
So thank you so
thank
much for
you.
having me.
And
This was
thank you so much for
awesome.
being on here.
Oh my gosh, this is the
Yes.
coolest thing.
So, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Unfiltered Life with Liz, and we'll see you next time.